Welcome to the introductory video for Managerial Economics Online, Rutgers University, Camden. My name is Professor Guy Pascal, and this is just to give you a little bit of an overview about the course. Realize that my office is in Armitage Hall, room 332. At the present time, I do not have office hours to report to you. The reason being is I share an office with a number of individuals and we have to coordinate time so that they don't overlap. So once this is finalized, I will make sure everybody notices or knows when my office hours are. My email is pascal@camden.rutgers.edu. That's the best way to reach me. I check my email a minimum of once a day. Generally, I probably check 2 or 3 times a day, so you should get a prompt response. The textbook is Managerial Economics and Strategy by Perloff and Brander from Pearson Publishing, and it is the first edition of this book. When you purchase this, I would recommend that you purchase the e-text along with the My Econ Lab access. Most of the items in the course that you'll be using will be on My Econ Lab, so you're going to have an access code for that. I recommend that you buy the bundle that has the e-text and the My Econ Lab access together. If you go to Sakai, on one of the tabs, I believe it says Introduction. Let me pull it up, but there's a tab there that'll say Introduction and Videos or something along those lines. And if you click on that, there is a link for instructions for My Econ Lab, how to enroll. If you follow those instructions, you'll be prompted for permanent access to the My Econ Lab site, and it'll also allow you to purchase the e-text. That's probably the most convenient way of going about this. So make sure you're aware of that and how to do that. This course is designed to bring students up to speed on economic concepts and theories that can be used in the managerial decision-making process. So we're going to take a look at economic models that aid managerial decision-making, supply, demand, and the basic functioning of markets, the concepts of elasticity and the applications in economics, household behavior, consumer choice, and profit-maximizing behavior of firms, long-run versus short-run cost and output decisions by firms, the spectrum of competition, perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. Pricing strategies with market power, the use of games theory in the decision-making process, uncertainty and risk and strategies managers can use to mitigate their impact, issues related to asymmetric information in management, and the interrelationship of business and the government. The way this course is set up, we have 4 different modules, and the way I break it up is that after each module there's a test. So Module 1 encompasses weeks 1 through 4, Module 2, 5 through 8, Module 3, 9 through 11, and Module 4, 12 through 14. There's an optional final in week 15. At the end of each module, i.e. weeks 4, 8, 11, and 14, that's when there's going to be online tests. And prior to this, on those weeks, you're going to have weekly assignments that encompass homeworks, quizzes, and forms. The forms don't occur every week. There's 5 forms during the semester. If you take a look at the syllabus has a detailed outline of each of the weeks and what is due. This is also mirrored on Sakai. There's tabs on the left-hand side of Sakai for each week that give a general overview of what you're going to be going over during the week, what assignments are due, etc. In terms of grading, there's going to be 17 homework assignments and quizzes, 5 forums, 4 tests, 1 case study, and 1 optional final. You're going to receive feedback on those for the items that are in My Econ Lab instantaneously. For the forums, I look at the forums try a couple of times a day. And the way I use the forums is that I post a couple of notions that are occurring or concepts that are occurring in the news. You can comment on them, etc. And what I do is I will give you a grade and then I will ask some questions of you or ask you to refine things. So it's an iterative process. If you post once, you'll get a grade. I will ask you a question or ask you to elaborate. If you elaborate, then I update the grade based upon that new information. You can feel free that if you see something in the news that relates to the concepts that we're talking about, you can start your own forum, etc. That's perfectly fine as well. The homeworks, you can do each homework question as many times as you want. The quizzes can be done 3 times. Highest scores for both count towards your grade for the course, and the quizzes have a time limit of 45 minutes. The tests also can be taken a maximum of 3 times, with the highest grade counting towards your grade for the course. There's a 150-minute time limit on the test. There is also a case study for the course, because this is an upper level class, and it has been told to me that it's important to incorporate case studies, so I've incorporated case studies. And they have a clear economic interpretation and relevance to managerial decision making. The way this is set up is that this class will be split into 5 groups of 5 for the 25 students that are in the course, so you can work together. I will set up forums so you can discuss amongst each other the items, etc. And at the end of the year at 12/13, you will submit a final report on the case study. I'll have more information about the case study, what I expect of them, and they will be posted on Sakai once I finalize them. I've gotten them together and I'm working through them myself now, so I'll have a better idea of what my expectation is, and I will try to be very clear about what I expect each student or the group of students to do. So really, I identify the key points of interest in the item, how it relates to managerial economics, what you think is important, what issues it relates to, and that we've covered in the course. There are 5 forums during the semester, weeks 2, 3, 5, 9, and 12. They're also aligned, set up to align real-world situations with what we go over in class. In addition, because it's an online class and it's difficult to have a level of interaction with online classes, that's what it's set up to be, to give a level of interactivity. So make sure you realize that for the forums, you're better off posting earlier in the week. That way, when I read them, if I have any questions or if I see an issue with it, I will post a response. It'll give you time to respond to me and improve your grade on the forum. Make sure you also realize that the final is optional. What I do is I give students a provisional grade, and that will occur roughly on 12/7. And what that means, a provisional grade, is I determine what your grade is prior to the final. So if you've completed all the work through week 14, I will assign you a grade based upon that work. And if you're happy with that grade, you don't have to take the final. For example, if you've got an A, no reason to take the final exam, because you could actually make your grade for the course worse. So if you have an A, just accept that grade, your provisional grade, that becomes your grade for the course. All right. If you decide that you want to improve that, I mean, even if you have a B+ and you know what, I'm happy, I've got other things I need to study for, I don't want to have to spend time working through this final, you can accept a B+, whatever your grade is. So if you have a provisional grade and you don't take the final, that becomes your grade for the course. If you want to improve your provisional grade, take the final exam, and that's going to replace your lowest test score grade. Realize that there is risk involved with this, because if you do worse on the final exam than you did on your lowest test grade, that will replace the test grade, and I will recalculate your grade. So if you do worse on the final than you did on your lowest test grade, it is possible for you to lower your grade. That's a risk, and you bear that risk on yourself. Okay? So realize that, and also you can take the test 3 times. The highest score is going to count just like the other test. It is cumulative, and there's a 200-minute time limit. The way the weights of the assignments are 20% for homework, 20% for quizzes, 40% for the tests, 10% for the case study, and 10% for the forum. Also, make sure if you take a look, the criteria for determining grades for the course are listed there. So make sure you're aware of how grades are going to be assigned, and make sure you read through the syllabus. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you read through the syllabus and understand the syllabus. It outlines the policies and procedures for the course. So make sure you read through that and understand it. It also has an appendix that lists out all the weeks, when things open, when they close, what's due, etc. This is also mimicked in Sakai. If you look at Sakai, there's weekly tabs on Sakai that tell you what's due. There's also videos on Sakai, so if you click on week 1, I set up videos that relate to the Q&As. In your textbook, there's applications in the textbook, and the textbook's explanation is pretty sparse. They skip a lot of steps through that, so I go through in detail the Q&As. And there's also some additional videos out there that relate to graphical types of concepts. So you can watch them as many times as you like if you're having trouble with a particular concept. Also, if there's something in the book that you are having trouble with that is graphical in nature, let me know. If there's not a video, I will do my best to produce a video. I'm trying to build up a catalog of videos, and the videos I have now are based upon what I think students might have trouble with, which I realize doesn't mean it perfectly coincides with what students actually are going to have difficulty with. Just realize that if you ask me to produce a video, you shouldn't expect it a very fast turnaround time. I have to organize it, set it up, go through it, film it once, maybe twice, do the things necessary for that. So you might not get it for that week, but you will have a video hopefully available before you take the test. So make sure you feel free that if there's a graphical concept that you think a video would be helpful for, let me know, and I will do my best to turn that around as quickly as possible. But don't expect, a 24-hour turnaround on a video request. Also, when you read through the syllabus, make sure you read through the deadline portion of this. It's something I hold very dear to my heart is students being able to meet deadlines. And I like to explain to students why I'm that way. I run my own business. I have a consulting company. And if I miss deadlines, I don't get paid. If I miss a deadline, I can get a contract canceled, or I might face legal liability because of that. I have to pay money back because of the fact I missed a deadline. So I think it's very important for students to realize the importance of deadlines, because once you get into the working world and you're working in an industry that's very competitive, if you can't meet your deadlines, that will be detrimental to you in the labor force, most definitely. If you can't make a deadline, make sure you email me prior to the deadline requesting an extension. I make a clear distinction between an extension request that I get prior to a due date or deadline and after. If you email me ahead of time, I will automatically give any student who emails me before a deadline a 24-hour extension with no penalty whatsoever. If you email me after the fact and say, oh, I forgot, I don't look at that in the same light. I look at it as somebody who's not, I don't want to say not being responsible, is not organized to let me know they're going to miss a deadline. So I very much approach things in that matter from a business perspective and a management perspective. Make sure you read through, because there are clearly defined penalties for missing a deadline, and they're outlined, and the penalties get more and more the longer that you go. So if you're 1 day late versus 7 days late, if you're 7 days late, the penalty is quite severe. So make sure you read through the deadlines part and make sure you're aware of the structure of those penalties. Realize too that if you have a special accommodation that's needed because of medical reasons, I will accommodate that, but you have to give me appropriate documentation from a doctor stating that you were unable to do the work. Emails, I want to stress this too. In your email correspondence, make sure you identify what course you're in. Okay, particularly the subject heading. The reason being is I'm teaching 3 online classes during the fall. So if you say I'm in your class, doesn't really tell me a lot. So you make sure you tell me I'm in managerial economics, so I know that. And 2, clearly explain the issue that you're having. Don't make it overly broad or vague. I've had students in the past saying, I don't understand chapter 14. Well, it's difficult for me to help you through chapter 14 all the way through. If you could say, I'm really having a problem with this item, this graph, this particular concept, I don't understand this, I can help you with that. All right, but don't just say, I don't understand chapter 14. There's not much I can help you with. You have to be able to be very specific about what you're having issues with. So make sure you go through the syllabus. Make sure you look at the schedule. The schedule in the appendix shows every week opening times, dates and times, closing dates and times, the assignments that you have to do. This is mimicked in Sakai in the tabs there. Also, twice a week I will send out notices to all the students in class, sort of a to-do list. This week you're supposed to do A, B, C, and D. It has to be done by this date. So make sure you realize that if you come to me and email me and say, I didn't know this was due, if it's on the syllabus, if it's on Sakai, and you got 2 notifications during the week that it was due, not knowing something was due, that's not a valid excuse. If your boss sat you down and said, this is what's due in the next 14 weeks, it's on this document, the syllabus, it's in Sakai, and I notified you twice to remind you that you had stuff to do. Most bosses that I know, that if they went out of their way that much to make sure you knew what you were doing, wouldn't look too kindly on not knowing when things are due. So make sure that you go through the syllabus, number one. Make sure you understand the syllabus. It has the policies and procedures. Additionally, I'd like to give a little bit of background about myself. I forgot to do this at the very beginning. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in economics. I got my bachelor's degree in economics from Rutgers University in Camden, the Camden campus. I am a graduate of Rutgers Camden. I also have a master's degree from Rutgers University, New Brunswick. I got my bachelor's in 91, and I got my master's in 94. I've been teaching at Rutgers Camden since 1993. So I've been here for 22 years, which explains the lack of hair on the top of my head right now. All right? Not a very good joke, but it's tough coming up with jokes in economics. What I did, most of my background is in healthcare economics. I've worked in hospital systems, multi-hospital systems, single hospital systems. I've worked in managed care, all right? I've worked doing Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, all of those things. And presently I run my own consulting company doing the same thing. I do health economics type of research and services related to that for hospital systems and managed care companies. So some of the examples I come up with will be related to the healthcare system. So hopefully that's an appropriate, or it's a good introduction. Number one, make sure you go through the syllabus. It has all the information. Make sure you look at Sakai. It'll tell you. Pay attention to your emails for updates, etc. Also, make sure you realize my stance on deadlines, and make sure that if you're not going to meet a deadline, email me ahead of time. All right. Remember, if you email me ahead of time, you get a 24-hour extension with no penalty. Make sure you read the section on deadlines and the structure of penalties. All right. And good luck during the semester.